Welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about Music Has the Right to Children, which is an album uh, put out by Boards of Canada. Two brothers from Scotland. Um, their names are Michael Sanderson and Marcus Eoin. He goes by his middle name. Not sure why, because they don't want to put out the vibe that they're brothers, maybe. Who knows? Anyways, we're going to be reviewing this album, Boards of Canada. Um, they're they've been it's their debut album from 1998. Before this album, they put out a lot of extended plays. I was going to say EPs, extended plays. So this album, I've known about this album for quite a while, and I just never had the desire to listen to it. But I wanted to listen to it this time and review it, and I always thought it was going to be like an ambient album, which in some ways it is, but it is more of a like an IDM trip hop genre, and just a lot of really interesting break beats. And the album cover is an actual picture of a old family picture, which all of their faces are rubbed out. I feel like when it came to choosing the album cover, they said, they went to their family members and said, look, we want to use this picture for our debut album. And the only way they could let their parents or their family agree to using the picture is to rub their faces out. And it just seems a little strange. It would be actually pretty better if they left the faces not rubbed out. But anyways, so yeah, this is kind of like a trip hop breakbeat album. I wouldn't, like a lot of people say it's an ambient album, an IDM, intelligent dance music album, down tempo. So I personally enjoy the songs that are more upbeat on the album. The ambient sounding tracks they're okay, but I mean, I think what people really like about this album, and a lot of people absolutely love this album. Many electronic producers that have gone on to become big have said that this album has given them, was really influential in their becoming an electronic musician. Yeah, the musical style is more like hip hop, not hip hop in the sense of rapping per se, but more of like a trip hop kind of the kind of beats you would hear in a hip hop song without the rapping. The two brothers, one of them went to school in both of them went to university in Edinburgh, Scotland, and one of them one of the brothers majors was music, and the other one was artificial intelligence. And so that's their background. They how did okay, so they're from Scotland, and they created, and they took the name of Boards of Canada. You know, what's with Canada? Well, when they were younger, and their dad was a construction worker, they were sent to Calgary to build a certain to work on a project in Calgary for a couple of years. And so they lived in Calgary when they were younger, and then of course they moved back to Scotland. So that's where, and the Boards of Canada, they, when they were young as a children, they used to watch these documentaries from Canada about nature and in Canada, and the public radio station in Canada put out these documentaries, and so they came out with the name of their group as Boards of Canada, because they apparently enjoy nature, and who doesn't, right? So before this debut, they did come out with a lot of extended plays, like I said, and that go back to the late '80s. But their debut album, Music Has the Right to Children, was released in 1998, which is, at the end of the '90s. And so as far as the music itself, the most famous song that everybody talks about is song number 10, Rogi Biv, which is actually, I'm surprised, it's got a really interesting breakbeat to it as soon as it starts, and it's only 2 minutes and 31 seconds long, which is interesting as far as being the most popular song off the album. The much longer song that's on the album is Happy Cycling, which is the very last song, and to me that song is really good. It's 7 minutes and 51 seconds long, and it gives you just enough time to enjoy the song and kind of lose yourself in the actual song. 2 minutes and 31 seconds for Roy Gibiv is just enough to say, oh my gosh, I like the song, but before you know it ends, right? So the other song that I really like off the album is Telephasic Workshop, which is song number 4, and it's 6 minutes and 35 seconds. And there's some kind of like the break beat, and I don't know if it's like mixing or something, but it's done so well, and you know that the two brothers really like the song, not only because it's higher up on the playlist of the actual album, it's song number 4, but within the song itself, they say Boards of Canada. And if a group actually puts their actual name of their group within a song, you know that they're proud of that song. And I have to say, it's a really good song. It's one of my favorites off the album. The other ones that are really good are Aquarius, song number 12, which is 5 minutes and 58 seconds. And now that I'm telling you this, most of the songs that are much longer on the album are really good. The other ones that are like, there's one song that's only 1 minute and 50 seconds long. That's Triangles and Rhombuses. I mean, it's almost like a transitional song, right? So it kind of, you listen to it, it goes in one ear and goes out the other ear, and it's gone. It's off to the next song. But so the songs that really stand out for me are Happy Cycling, Rogi Biff, which is the one song that is really short but really good. And then there's also, like I said, Telephasic Workshop. And then I would say it's interesting to hear the one very important thought. It's I'm not going to tell you what it's about. You're going to have to hear it and see what they say. But it is kind of funny to hear it at the very end of the album, almost end. There's music to it, but mostly it's spoken dialogue, and it's fun to hear it. I like it when groups put together fun tracks like that onto their album. So like I said, this album is very popular in a sense that it makes them it makes you kind of think about where the electronic scene was and where it's going. It's kind of a reminiscent album of breakbeats that were very popular, like say in the late 80s, early 90s. And the two brothers said that this album is kind of like thinking back on a distant past when things were better, and it kind of shows, the type of music that they play throughout the album. And the least favorite song that I like on the album is Pete Standing Alone. I mean, I can't stand that song. But maybe there's someone out there that likes it. So like I said, you're gonna have to listen to it yourself and see what you think about it. And so some of the groups or musicians that have said that they have identified with this album and are people like Gold Panda, Tim Hecker, Fortet, Ulrich Schnauz, and others. Also, so yeah, I mean, when it initially came out in '98, it did really well with the crowds and also with the critics. The critics loved the album, and it's considered it's on the list of 1001 albums you must hear before you die, and on Pitchfork's top 100 albums of 1990s list, it ranks at number 35, which is interesting because I've known about this album for many years. I mean, going back to the 90s, I just never really thought about listening to it. I always thought that it would be some kind of ambient which I do like ambient, but I'm when it comes to music, I'm really picky, and so I kind of frowned upon it in the past, and kind of said, "Oh, I don't have to listen to that album," you know. So, and I also thought, oh, they're some Canadians, and actually they're from Scotland, and so I guess it teaches you something to don't uh, don't rate the music based off of the cover of the album. I'm to blame for that sometimes. If I like the album cover, I'll give a listen to the music. You should rather, instead of looking at the album cover, just listen to the music, because that's where it's at, right? I mean, you don't go to a pizza parlor and ask for them to make you a hamburger, right? Same idea here, you know. Don't blame or rate the music based off of the album cover. Listen to the music first. And I was pleasantly surprised that there are many songs on this album that are very very good. And the only thing that I must say is that I'd rather have them, and in this age you can kind of take apart the album and rearrange the songs whichever way you like. But it would be interesting to take all these songs. There's a total of 18 songs on the album, so you can rearrange all the short songs and put them together, and put all the long songs together. So you can do something like rearrange the album, the as far as the what songs come first and what songs come last, and you know so you can rearrange the songs so that all the short songs play first and all the long songs finish out the album, or vice versa. Kind of like what Rod Stewart did in the 70s. What Rod Stewart did was he arranged all the really energetic songs to come first on his album, and the second half of the album, all his ballads or love songs were kind of clumped together. So first you would dance your heart out, and then at the second half of the album was kind of like a ballad, kind of slow dancing songs. So I think that this album here would do very well in that regard. If you clump all the big songs like in length and all the energetic ones together, and then put all the ambient ones together, short ambient transitional songs together, then I think this would really be interesting to hear in that regard. So as far as the giving the album a ranking, that's one of the things that I did not like about the album, because there's 18 songs and it just jumps around. Like one song is ambient, one song is more upbeat, and then it goes back to ambient, and then another upbeat song. For my taste, or for my preference, I would like to hear all the really energetic songs put together, and then all the slower or shorter songs put together. And I think it would have been much better. But anyways, the album itself ended on a very strong note, and that was Happy Cycling. It was 7 minutes and 51 seconds long, and not only that, it was a really upbeat, breakbeat song, which I enjoyed very much. And so, as far as the rating goes, I would give it a high 8. So, probably closer to 9, 8.8 out of 10. That would be my rating for this album. So if you like really the trip hop kind of breakbeat sounds of the late 80s and early 90s, this album, even though it was put out in 1998, it kind of the sound of the music is reminiscent of that era. So if you like that era of music, this album you're gonna really like. And I can tell you now, there's a lot of people out there that swear by it, that this album is probably the best of any electronic album. Well, okay, sure. I'll say this: it's a strong album with many good songs on it, especially the longer ones. But when it comes to going back and forth from ambient to trip hop, and kind of it kind of loses me at that. But when it comes to the really strong songs, it wins me back. And so as far as the production on this album, it's really good, especially if you like I said, late 80s, early 90s trip hop, housey vibe. Yeah, definitely check it out. Check this album out on your own accord, and please subscribe to my channel. I like reviewing electronic albums, and if you want me to listen to a particular album, and I'll be glad to hear it and review it. Give it a like, comment if you what your thoughts are on this album for these two Scottish electronic duo, I guess. The other thing about this group is that they don't tour their music. They don't go on these tours. Actually, the last time was like in the it was in the 90s, I think. That was the last time that they actually toured. So they're kind of they keep to themselves, and they make the music, and then they don't really go out and with these make big concerts. They just don't do it. They don't like to do that, and more power to them. I mean, if that's the way they like to do it. So since their debut album, they've actually put out 3 more albums. The next one was in 2002, and then 2005 and 2013, but nothing since 2013. So they're kind of reclusive pioneers of electronic music. So anyways, go check it out. And for instance, in 2012, Fact called them one of the best known and best loved electronic acts of the last 2 decades. Now that's debatable, but they definitely did put out a good debut album. I'll give them that. I still have to hear their other output, their other albums, and I'll let you know. But yeah, so check it out, and I'll see you next time. Bye.